Welcome to Creative Genius, the 21-day series where we are going to unlock your creative freedom, your creative joy, and your creative magic. Welcome to day 2. We're talking about creative flow. That flow state where you are so enmeshed in what you're doing, you're so involved in what you're doing, you're so present for what you're doing, you're so in love with what you're doing, that everything falls away. That place where time stops, that place where the worries stop, that place where the only thought in your mind is what the next movement is going to be, what the next step is going to be, what the next place is going to be. You are so there with your creation that everything else falls away. What does it take to step into that creative flow? How do we create it? What are the conditions around creative flow that we can actually replicate and start to make a habit of and start to understand how they work and start to bring them to life for us in our creative practice? That's what we're doing today too. The first thing for creative flow that might surprise you, that you need and absolutely you have to have actually, is challenge. If it's too easy for you, your brain is not going to get into that flow state. It's not going to let that space happen where everything else falls away and your focus becomes so attuned to what you're doing. And if it's too hard, you're also not going to reach that flow state because you're going to be so, locked into this is too hard, I can't do this, thinking about the things, having the subconscious identity come up and just all of that. So what we really want to achieve is a sense of challenge that isn't too easy and isn't too hard. Well, how do we find that? A lot of my background as a body worker and also just as the yogi that I am, as the human being that works out, so much of creativity is mirrored and reflected to me every day through the body. It's the same thing if you're building muscles, right? If you are lifting a weight that is too heavy, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to pull it up. You're going to get frustrated. You're not going to want to keep going. Also, if you're using a weight that is too light and you continue to show up, you're not going to be building any muscle. You're not going to be doing anything. There's not going to be a sense of achievement. What's the point, right? If you're doing something that's too easy for yourself, if you're doing something that doesn't invoke that sense of challenge. Now, in our bodies, there's two kinds of stress, right? There's two kinds of challenge. One of those kinds is like survival challenge. We go into that sympathetic nervous system. We experience those things like fight or flight or freeze or fawn. We cannot make decisions. We are in that survival brain. Our only focus is survival. Your creativity and your creative brain and your problem solution and your problem solving brain do not work as well in that state, okay? That we need to move ourselves, and that's nervous system work, that's subconscious work, that's creating a different environment. That's a separate kind of stress. The stress and challenge that we are talking about today is actually a good kind of stress. It's actually a good kind of challenge. It's the one where we learn. It's the one where we evolve. It's the one where we become. It's the one that stimulates our brain to curiosity and problem solving, looking for new direction, for innovation. That's what we want as creators. So are you, and let's be honest, are you lifting at a weight that is too easy? Are you choosing to do things that are not at the capacity, not at the level, not quite where you should be because you're afraid it's going to be too hard, because you're afraid you can't do it, because you're afraid of what will happen, you're afraid it'll be rejected, you're afraid it won't be liked, you're afraid if you share it, blah, blah, blah. Whatever your personal story is that's causing you to hold back a little bit. It's also holding you back from experiencing that peak flow state. So what else do you need for creative flow? The first one is trust, okay? You're going to trust that you know what you're doing. You're going to trust that every little step that you've created before is leading you to creating what you are led to create now, right? It's all been adding up. It's all been compounding. The magic of creativity is that if you have consistency, it develops over time, right? Not necessarily the most successful artists are the most talented. And honestly, you can build talent. Like, you can show up every day and strengthen your talent. What you need to work on is your mindset. What you need to work on is your subconscious beliefs. What you need to work on is your nervous system. Because if you're consistently showing up, your talent's going to evolve and your art's going to evolve with you at a greater pace if you're evolving the human that you are. You have to trust that you are the person that the vision is meant for. You have to trust that you are the person that is here to create it. You need to trust that you know what you're doing, and instead of just pushing it away as being humble, you actually start to own, I'm here to do this. This is what I love. This is what I'm called to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I desire to do with my time and my vitality and my life force and my most precious currency, that is me. What does that actually look like? It looks like telling yourself all of those things, that you are the person that's here to do this, that you are the person that is capable of this, that you are the person that knows what you're here to do. It looks like actually getting your art supplies out. It looks like actually being consistent with what you're creating. It looks like keeping those promises to yourself about what you're here to do, right? Because then we become a person that keeps our promises. Then we become a person that is accountable to ourselves. Then we become a person that finishes what we say we're going to. The third thing you need is surrender. You aren't looking 10 steps down the line when you're in that creative flow state. You're not thinking about the grocery list. You're not thinking about the 10 other things that you have to do today after you create, especially if you are a mom or you are a person that is responsible to other people, or you're a caregiver or whatever it is. In that flow state, everything else ceases to exist, because you are so focused on what you're doing, because you are so surrendered to the present moment, because you are so in tune with what's moving through you and what you're doing. And very often we come out of that state and we look at what we've created and I don't even know how that was possible, except for it was always meant to be you. It was always meant to be moved through you. It was always meant to come from you. You were always the person that was going to create whatever it is. You just needed to believe in yourself and get yourself here and actually get yourself creating. And it was always going to be you. You can't get it wrong. As long as you're showing up, as long as you're creating, as long as your heart is invested, as long as you are listening to your soul and your intuition, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, you can't miss it. What is here for you to be created by you is here for you to be created by you. So there's a surrender to our creative flow that is the belief and the ability to just be present, to let any of the pressure drop away, to let anything else drop away, and to sink into the beauty and the challenge. And it's the same thing. I'm going to bring it back again to the body, right? When we are doing something that is challenging in our body, we can have discomfort with it, and we can still have mental ease. We can still have the knowing. We can still have an easeful experience with it. That's surrender. Not that your challenge doesn't exist. It's that you are up for the challenge. It's not that what you are creating isn't taking you to a new edge. It's that you can handle it on that edge. And really, when we practice being with that discomfort, when we practice being with that place of mental challenge, when we practice being with that place of creative challenge, that becomes natural to us. That becomes something where we know we can meet our edge again and again and again. We know we can show up to those places of challenge again and again and again. Creativity is teaching you life skills as much as you're creating art. It's a life skill. It's innovation. It's our ability to problem solve. It's our ability to see new things. It's ability to reorient to a vision that doesn't exist yet. It's the ability to see something that doesn't exist yet, and bring it through to reality. That's what you're doing every day. So here's your assignment for today. You're going to put yourself into a flow state as much as you can. That looks like creating an environment for yourself. Put on music that you love. Light a candle. Grab a gorgeous drink. Create a setting for yourself that feels like flow, that feels like peace, that feels like surrender, that feels like ease. Because then you're diving into that project you've been putting off. You're diving into the thing that you really want to create. You're diving into the thing that is calling you to the highest level of your creative possibility. That's what you're bringing to the table today. So create an environment around you that feels easeful to your nervous system, that feels easeful to your heart, that feels like it's someplace you could spend hours in, even if you only have a small pocket of time, right? You're creating something for yourself. You're creating an experience for yourself. Your joy does not take a backseat in creative flow. It's the end point. Your vitality, your experience, the most precious part of you. You're choosing to spend your time on this, and so it matters. The joy is not just if you succeed or if it turns out a certain way. Your joy is the point. Your life is the point. Creative flow, day number 2. You are going to create for your space a place where you could spend all day. You're going to create something memorable. You're going to create an experience for yourself. You're going to create a playlist. You're going to create a vibe. You're going to create a memory for yourself for today. A memory you can come back to of how much you love what you're doing, of how inspired you are by what you're doing, of how called you feel to what you're doing, of how alive you feel while you're doing it, of what your vitality means and why your precious experience is it's worth spending your time here. It's worth stepping up to the plate here. It's worth self-expressing here. It's worth creating the identity of somebody who shows up for their art, of somebody who shows up for their world, of somebody who creates an inner world that prioritizes flow. I want you to do this, and then I want you to come back and leave me a comment about how it went, what you're creating. I want you to drop it in there. I want you to tell everybody what you're doing. I want you to tell everybody what you're excited about. And if you're not ready to share the project, share what you did to make your environment more peaceful and more flow for you. Share what the challenge was like. Share what the challenge is. Share how you stepped up to the plate to become somebody that creates with challenge, that somebody that creates with that brilliant problem-solving part of your mind. How was your focus? How was your attitude? What did you learn about yourself? Drop something in the comments so we can all share. We're all on this creative journey together, and I will see you tomorrow for day 3.